Society has told you that being harmless is a virtue, but there is no virtue in weakness. We often mistake our inability to cause harm for a moral choice to remain peaceful and kind. Are you truly a peaceful man, or are you simply incapable of being dangerous to others? A caged bird isn't choosing not to fly. It is simply trapped by its own internal limitations. Real peace belongs to the hawk that possesses the talons to strike but chooses to soar. To be truly dangerous is to possess terribility, a controlled psychological sharpness that commands immediate respect. This begins with internal non-negotiability, where your boundaries are backed by the capacity for force. The harmless man lacks options, while the peaceful man masters his own inner potential for violence. Reclaiming your power requires facing the integrated shadow, the parts of yourself you have long suppressed. You must develop zanshin, a state of relaxed awareness where you remain ready for any sudden conflict. If you were pushed today, would you choose to stay quiet or have no other choice? Most people drift through life without an edge, believing their fragility is a sign of good character. But true character is forged in the ability to be dangerous while remaining under absolute self-control. Mastery is not about seeking a fight, but about knowing you could win if one started. This realization is heavy, requiring a shift in how you view your place in the world. This philosophy echoes the wisdom of Niccolo Machiavelli, who lived in Italy approximately 500 years ago. As the author of The Prince, he understood that power must be understood, not ignored. His words were a cold wake-up call to those who thought kindness alone could protect them. We must look back to a time when a man's edge was not just a metaphor. Let us travel back to an era where physical reality demanded a much sharper psychological presence. Imagine the streets of Florence 500 years ago, where your life depended on the steel at your hip. To find our way back to strength, we must go to where the rules were written in blood. This was the late 1400s, a time when beauty and violence danced together in the flickering torchlight. In this era, Niccolo Machiavelli walked these cobblestones, observing the brutal mechanics of power and survival. The Italian city-states of the late 15th century were locked in a constant, desperate struggle for dominance. In these warring states, a city without walls and a standing army was merely a tempting target. Every citizen understood that weakness was not a virtue, but an open invitation for total destruction. This environment forged a specific kind of man, one who understood the necessity of being dangerous. During this period, every man carried a knife at his hip as both a tool and a statement. This blade represented a physical reality where survival and social respect were earned through visible capacity. It wasn't just about utility. It was a constant reminder of one's own internal non-negotiability. Your neighbor knew you were armed, and you knew the same of him, creating a visceral respect. This era celebrated the concept of terribility, the awe-inspiring quality of a man who could be lethal. It required an integrated shadow where one's capacity for violence was acknowledged but held in check. These men were not merely aggressive. They possessed a quiet, focused state of readiness known as zanshin. They understood the profound difference between being truly peaceful and simply being harmless. How did we trade this visceral, edge-of-the-seat respect for the sanitized safety of the modern cubicle? What does it do to a man's psyche when he no longer carries the means of his protection? We have forgotten that being harmless is a lack of choice, while being peaceful is a virtue. To be peaceful, you must first be capable of great harm, yet choose to stay the hand. Machiavelli watched as treaties were signed with one hand and daggers were gripped with the other. The air in Florence was thick with the scent of lily and the cold sweat of impending siege. Social standing wasn't granted by a title alone, but by the weight of the steel you carried. In the marketplace, every negotiation was underscored by the silent potential for sudden, decisive violence. A man's posture spoke volumes about his training, his readiness, and his mastery over his own fear. This was the landscape where the philosophy of the dangerous man was not theory, but lived experience. The city-state was like the human mind. Without internal defenses, it was destined to be conquered. To survive the Renaissance, one had to cultivate an edge that cut deeper than any physical blade. Every interaction was a dance of power where the stakes were often life or total obscurity. In this world of warring city-states, one man observed the mechanics of power like no other. Is it truly better to be loved than feared, or is that just a lie we tell children? We tell these stories to keep them obedient, making them easier to manage as they grow older. Niccolo Machiavelli saw the world for what it was, not what we wish it to be. He understood that the true nature of power lies in what others believe about your capacity. Many men mistake being harmless for being peaceful, but there is a massive difference between them. A peaceful man has a sword and knows how to use it, yet keeps it sheathed. A harmless man has no choice, lacking the strength to even protect those he claims to love. To find your power, you must first acknowledge the potential for darkness within your own soul. This is the integrated shadow, where your capacity for destruction is tempered by your iron will. Machiavelli observed that the most effective rulers projected an air of quiet, calculated danger at all times. He wrote in The Prince that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This choice only becomes necessary when you cannot realistically achieve both qualities in your daily life. Love is a fickle emotion that people discard the moment it no longer serves their immediate interests. Fear is a bond maintained by the dread of punishment, which never fails to keep men disciplined. This is not about being a tyrant, but about cultivating a sense of internal non-negotiability within. It is the silent signal that there are lines you will never allow anyone to cross again. When you embody this state, you carry a psychological weight known to the masters as terribility. Terribility is the awe-inspiring presence of someone who is truly capable of taking profound, decisive action. This perception of danger is a shield that stops the sword before it is even drawn. Why does the world allow itself to be deceived so easily by those who wield influence? Machiavelli noted that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who allows himself to be deceived. Most people often prefer a comfortable lie over a harsh truth that requires them to take action. He advised that one should never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Force is loud and messy, but the perception of danger is subtle and far more efficient. To maintain this edge, one must cultivate zanshin, a state of relaxed and total awareness. In zanshin, you are aware of every threat without being consumed or paralyzed by any of them. It is the quiet intensity of a predator who has no need to growl or roar loudly. If you cannot be both loved and feared, which one would you actually choose to sacrifice today? Real power is found in the space between the performance of cruelty and total, weak submission. But this danger isn't just about what you do. It's about the air you breathe into a room. You believe that being honest is your greatest strength, but often it is just a lack of options. True terribility requires you to understand that rigid honesty can sometimes be a cage for the weak. Machiavelli observed that one should never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Force is loud and costly, but strategic flexibility allows you to navigate the world with quiet precision. There is no virtue in being harmless when you simply lack the capacity to be anything else. A peaceful man is dangerous, but keeps his sword sheathed through the mastery of his integrated shadow. To protect your interests, you must move beyond the simple morality of the playground and embrace reality. You must recognize that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone ready to be deceived. People often crave the comfort of a lie because the harsh truth of power is too heavy. Your internal non-negotiability means you decide when to reveal your hand and when to keep it hidden. Consider the weight of your word, which society tells you is an unbreakable bond of your character. Machiavelli argued that a promise given was merely a necessity of the past, now gone and forgotten. He further claimed that a word broken is often a vital necessity of the present moment. This isn't about cruelty, but about the strategic fluidity required to survive in a competitive world. When the situation shifts, your loyalty to an old promise can become a weight that sinks you. You must maintain a state of zanshin, a relaxed alertness that sees the world as it truly is. The harmless man clings to rules because he fears the consequences of stepping outside the lines. But the dangerous man uses the rules as tools, discarding them when they no longer serve his purpose. Integrating your shadow means acknowledging your capacity for deception without letting it consume your core identity. True power lies in the choice between being honest and being effective for the greater good. Deception is not a vice when it is used to protect your vision from those who would destroy it. By understanding the nature of the deceivable, you learn to spot the traps set by your enemies. Every interaction is a dance of perception where your internal non-negotiability dictates the final outcome. You are not being good by being predictable. You are merely making yourself an easy target. Embrace the complexity of the Renaissance mind, where survival often depended on what was left unsaid. Shift your perspective from the harmless man's rigid truth to the peaceful man's strategic silence. There is a quality of spirit so dense that even popes feared to cross the man who possessed it. This isn't just theory. History has seen this force embodied in both flesh and cold, hard stone. Imagine walking into a room where the very air thickens with the weight of a single man's presence. The Italians had a specific name for this overwhelming aura of concentrated power. They called it terribility. It was not just skill or talent, but a density of being that commanded immediate and absolute respect. Michelangelo didn't just carve statues. He projected a spirit so intense it felt like a physical pressure. This wasn't the loud posturing of a bully, but the quiet weight of internal non-negotiability within his soul. Even the most powerful men of his age, the popes themselves, felt a sudden hesitation before him. History tells us that these sovereign rulers would pause, sensing a power that didn't answer to their crowns. This is the essence of an integrated shadow, where one's inner darkness is mastered rather than merely suppressed. Michelangelo was never harmless. He was a peaceful man who kept a sharpened blade within his spirit. What would it feel like to walk into a room and have the conversation stop because of your presence? Is your aura one of open invitation, or does it carry the undeniable weight of a mountain? Like a mountain, a man with terribility doesn't have to move or speak to be deeply felt. This concentrated internal power creates a perimeter that few would ever dare to cross or even challenge. It is a state of perpetual readiness, much like the Japanese concept of zanshin, or relaxed awareness. When you possess this internal density, the world begins to treat you with a new, somber kind of reverence. True mastery is found when your internal state is so solid that the external world must adapt to you. Terribility is the ultimate deterrent, a silent warning that there is a lion behind the calm, focused eyes. Most men today are raised to be agreeable, mistaking their lack of teeth for a genuine moral virtue. We wear a mask of kindness because we are afraid of the fire that burns deep within our bellies. But to be truly peaceful, you must first be capable of the very violence you choose to forego. When you carry terribility, you don't need to fight because your presence does the work for you. Imagine a world leader slowing his pace because he feels the gravity of your unyielding internal conviction. This non-negotiability means your values are not up for debate, and your boundaries are etched in stone. Michelangelo's hands were stained with marble dust, but his soul was polished to a terrifying and sharp edge. Your aura should act as a filter, drawing in the worthy while signaling the predatory to stay away. Integrating your shadow doesn't make you evil. It makes you whole, formidable, and entirely impossible to ignore. A mountain doesn't ask for permission to exist. It simply stands and the weather must move around it. The question remains, are you becoming the architect of your own power, or just another face in the crowd? Yet, most of us have been taught to suppress this fire until it's nothing but ash. We are the descendants of survivors, yet we live like we are already defeated. Your nervous system can detect a threat in milliseconds, yet you have been trained to ignore it. Over 10,000 years, human evolution has wired your nervous system to detect threats with absolute precision. You have been taught to suppress your terribility, replacing that inner fire with a hollow compliance. This ancient internal alarm system is your birthright, a legacy of survival passed through countless generations. Yet, modern societal structures demand that you suppress these instincts in the name of total comfort. From the classroom to the office, we are taught that conflict is always a failure of character. We have prioritized a fragile peace over the mastery required to navigate a truly dangerous world. Like a tiger in a zoo, you still bear the stripes, but you have forgotten the hunt. Your natural threat detection instincts have been effectively disarmed by a world that fears your potential strength. Why do we constantly apologize for the very instincts that were designed to keep us alive? There is no virtue in being harmless. True virtue lies in being dangerous yet remaining peaceful. This is the essence of an integrated shadow, where your darkness serves your highest human purpose. Without this internal edge, you are not being good. You are simply lacking the capacity for teeth. Machiavelli wrote that a promise given was merely a necessity of a past that no longer exists. He argued that a word broken is often the only necessity of the challenging present moment. To navigate power, one must understand that honesty without options is merely a form of weakness. You must develop an internal non-negotiability that refuses to sacrifice your intuition for social politeness. This requires zanshin, a state of total awareness where you remain alert even in moments of calm. Our educational systems have replaced this sharp awareness with a dull, compliant safety that protects nothing. In a world that prizes harmlessness, who is left to protect the truth when it becomes uncomfortable? We have traded our predatory instincts for a cage, believing the bars are there for our protection. To reclaim this instinct, we must look into the darkest parts of our own nature. To find the power within, we must first confront the ancient biological hardware buried deep inside our DNA. Your nervous system is not a modern creation, but a relic forged through 10 millennia of constant survival. Over 10,000 years, evolution sharpened your instincts to detect the slightest hint of a lurking predator's presence. Every ancestor who survived passed down a genetic blueprint designed for hypervigilance in a lethal, unforgiving world. This biological legacy is exactly what allows your mind to identify a potential threat in mere milliseconds. Within those milliseconds, your body makes a life-altering decision before your conscious mind even has time to blink. This lightning-fast detection is the foundation of terribility, a force that vibrates beneath your everyday, polite exterior. Yet, the modern world demands you suppress these sharp instincts to maintain a shallow facade of social harmony. We have traded our primal awareness for a sterile safety that often leaves us feeling hollow and disconnected. You have been taught to be harmless, but there is a profound difference between harmless and peaceful. A harmless man is simply incapable of violence, while a peaceful man has his shadow fully integrated. When you suppress your threat detection, you push your integrated shadow into the forgotten corners of your mind. This suppression creates a psychological cost that manifests as persistent anxiety, stagnation, and a loss of agency. Your nervous system stays offline, tricked by fluorescent lights and cubicles into believing all danger is gone. But the danger hasn't vanished. It has simply changed shape, becoming social, professional, and deeply psychological. To reclaim your power, you must re-engage the internal non-negotiability that defines a truly dangerous, effective man. This state of constant, relaxed alertness is known as Zanshin, where the warrior is always prepared to act. Zanshin is not about paranoia, but about a deep, biological alignment with the immediate reality of your surroundings. It is the recognition that your millisecond reactions are a gift, not a curse to be hidden away. By acknowledging these ancient signals, you begin to bridge the gap between your modern self and primal nature. We must stop apologizing for the sharp instincts that kept our bloodline alive through the darkest of ages. True self-mastery requires you to listen when your body screams that something in the room is wrong. This biological reality is the core of the dangerous man, hidden behind a thin, fragile veil of civilization. The cost of ignoring this reality is the slow death of your spirit in a world of compliance. To reclaim your edge, you must first accept that you were built for a far more violent world. Most people believe they are good simply because they are harmless, yet they are merely incomplete. There is a profound difference between being a truly good man and just a nice man. To bridge this gap, we must look to the insights of the legendary psychologist Carl Jung. As a master of the human psyche, Carl Jung explored the darkest corners of our internal world. He introduced the concept of the integrated shadow to describe the parts of ourselves we hide. What hidden parts of yourself have you locked in the basement just to appear socially civilized? Kindness without the power of the shadow is like a sword without a sharpened edge. It is nothing more than a decorative piece of metal, incapable of defending what truly matters. True virtue does not come from the inability to do harm, but from choosing not to. Jung wrote that the most terrifying thing a person can do is to accept themselves completely. This total acceptance births a sense of internal non-negotiability that the world cannot easily shake. You must learn the distinction between being harmless and being genuinely peaceful and controlled. This process requires embracing your own terribility, the raw power that demands respect from everyone. It demands a state of Zanshin, where your awareness and potential for action are perfectly aligned. Integrating your shadow means acknowledging your capacity for destruction while choosing a path of creation. Only a man who is capable of great violence can truly understand the value of peace. When you act from a position of strength, your kindness becomes a deliberate, powerful choice. Becoming a whole person requires you to stop running from the darker aspects of your nature. Can you truly be kind if you do not possess the capacity for its opposite? Integrating that shadow is the only way to find the audacity required for lasting greatness. It is time to step out of the illusion of compliance and into your full power. We often confuse our lack of teeth for a virtuous desire not to bite others, but the world does not reward the toothless. It simply ignores them as they suffer. To be integrated is to stand with your hand on the hilt, choosing not to draw. This internal tension creates a magnetic presence that others can feel without you saying the word. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, but a master of your own internal landscape. The integrated shadow acts as an anchor, keeping you steady when the storms of life arrive. It is the foundation upon which true leadership and self-mastery are eventually built for every man. Do not fear the darkness within, for it contains the very fuel you need for growth. By reclaiming your shadow, you reclaim the parts of yourself that make you truly dangerous. Why do the bold inherit the earth while the patient wait for crumbs that never actually fall? Your integrated shadow, once a source of fear, now becomes the primary engine for your decisive action. Most men spend their entire lives waiting for a permission slip that will never truly arrive. They believe that being good means being patient, yet they are simply too weak to act boldly. There is a massive difference between being truly peaceful and merely being harmlessly stuck in place. Real peace comes from the ability to cause chaos, yet choosing to hold that power back instead. To be harmless is a limitation, but to be peaceful is a deliberate and conscious choice. Fortune is not a kind grandfather giving gifts. She is a force that must be wrestled down. Machiavelli famously wrote that fortune is like a woman and must be beaten to be kept controlled. This aggressive imagery reframes your agency as a necessary tool for molding your own physical reality. Are you still waiting for the world to notice your potential and invite you to lead them? The world does not care about your potential. It only reacts to the weight of your impact. Audacity is the bridge between the internal darkness you have tamed and the external world you seek. When was the last time you reached out and simply took exactly what you truly needed? To master your life, you must develop a sense of internal non-negotiability about your personal goals. This is where the concept of terribility transforms from a threat into a practical, creative force. You are no longer reacting to the environment. You are imposing your own will upon it daily. Life does not reward those who wait. It rewards those who possess the agency to grab it. Consider the state of Zanshin, a relaxed alertness that prepares the mind for immediate and decisive action. Every movement you make should carry the weight of a man who knows his own dangerous power. By mastering your aggression, you turn a wild animal into a precision tool for building a legacy. Stop asking for the things you want and start creating the conditions where they must exist. This shift in perspective turns every obstacle into raw material for your own personal grand design. You must become the architect of your fate rather than a mere spectator of your own life. But this bold action requires more than just constant movement. It requires a specific kind of stillness. People judge you before you even speak, because everyone can see you, but few will ever touch you. How do we signal this internal terribilita to the world without ever uttering a single spoken word? Machiavelli observed that men judge more by the eye than by the hand in every social encounter. Your physical form speaks volumes long before your voice has the chance to make an introduction. Does your body currently tell a story of defeat or a story of absolute unwavering readiness? Most people mistake being harmless for being peaceful, but true peace requires the capacity for danger. To be truly peaceful is to have a drawn sword and the discipline to keep it sheathed. This external signal begins with the integration of your shadow into every movement you make daily. Why do we instinctively shrink and minimize ourselves when we should be occupying our rightful space? Cultivating a dangerous presence requires a fundamental shift in how you carry your physical weight. It is the manifestation of internal non-negotiability, a silent pact you make with your own soul. Every micro-adjustment to your posture communicates whether you are the predator or the prey in sight. True terribilita is not about aggression. It is about an undeniable density of spirit and intent. Consider the concept of Zanshin, the state of relaxed alertness that precedes any decisive physical action. Zanshin is the stillness of a coiled spring, ready to release with devastating precision at any moment. When you walk into a room, your presence should act as a silent boundary for others. This visual communication serves as the drawn sword that keeps the peace without needing a strike. You must learn to occupy space with the quiet confidence of a man who knows his worth. Small shifts in your gaze and shoulders signal that you are no longer an easy target. By refining these behaviors, you bridge the gap between internal power and the external world's perception. This presence is a warning, a deterrent against those who would seek to postpone the inevitable. You think your character is hidden, but the world measures you before you ever say a word. Machiavelli taught that men judge generally more by the eye than by the touch of the hand. While everyone can see who you appear to be, few ever come in touch with your reality. This visual judgment is your first line of defense, a silent broadcast of your internal non-negotiability. To master this language, you must stop being merely harmless and start becoming truly peaceful. A harmless man has no choice, but a peaceful man keeps his sharp blade carefully sheathed. Consider the weight of your presence and how you occupy the physical space around you right now. Your eyes should carry the intensity of your integrated shadow, signaling you are not to be trifled with. This isn't about aggression. It is about zanshin, a state of focused, relaxed, and total awareness. Michelangelo possessed a quality called terribilità, a concentrated power that made even the strongest popes hesitate. This aura of spirit was so dense it physically altered the atmosphere of any room he entered. You can cultivate this same deterrent by aligning your internal state with your outward visual signals. When you hold eye contact, you aren't just looking. You are claiming your fundamental right to exist. If your gaze is fleeting, you signal a lack of internal core and invite others to dominate. Moving with clear intention creates a visual barrier that stops potential predators before they ever strike. Your posture is the physical manifestation of your boundaries, showing the world where you begin and end. By mastering the judgment of the eye, you begin to dictate the terms of every social interaction. Real power does not need to shout when the mere sight of it commands immediate and total respect. This is the visual communication of a man who has successfully integrated his darkest, most dangerous impulses. You are no longer a victim of perception, but the deliberate architect of your own formidable presence. Every step you take should echo with the quiet confidence of a warrior tending a peaceful garden. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Instead, expand until your presence fills the entire room. This visual deterrent is the practical application of the internal power we have discussed all along. It is the moment where deep philosophy meets the concrete reality of the streets and the boardroom. Now, you must decide if you will remain invisible or become a force that cannot be ignored. The dangerous man knows that peace is never simply the absence of conflict within his chaotic world. Every time you avoid a necessary conflict, you aren't escaping war. You are merely feeding your enemy. Ask yourself now, what is the true, staggering cost of your silence in the face of disrespect? Who is currently profiting from your reluctance to fight for the boundaries you claim to hold dear? Machiavelli famously warned that there is no avoiding war, only postponing it to your opponent's distinct advantage. Postponing conflict is like letting a deep wound fester until it becomes a poison you cannot treat. To reclaim your power, you must establish an internal non-negotiability that the world feels before you speak. You are not being peaceful by staying quiet. You are simply proving that you are completely harmless. Without an integrated shadow ready to strike, your kindness is nothing more than a mask for fear. Real terribility is not about cruelty, but about the terrifying clarity of a man who knows his worth. In every interaction, you must maintain zanshin, a state of relaxed alertness that signals you are prepared. Machiavelli understood that introducing a new order of things is always difficult, perilous, and uncertain in success. When you fail to enforce your boundaries, you participate in the slow, agonizing erosion of your own self. By retreating into the shadows of compliance, you grant others the power to define your very existence. Each delay makes the eventual confrontation more dangerous while your own strength withers into nothingness. To be dangerous is to acknowledge that some things are worth the risk of a perilous change. True self-mastery requires you to stop being a spectator to the quiet theft of your own dignity. Embrace the part of yourself that is willing to burn the bridge of false peace for truth. Creating a new order within your life requires the audacity to face the uncertainty of immediate friction. Do not let the wound of your suppressed spirit grow until there is nothing left to save. You must choose between the comfort of a lie or the sharp edge of a necessary truth. Reclaiming your internal power starts by admitting that you have been handing your sword to the enemy. Look at the man in the mirror and decide if his silence has bought him anything worthwhile. The erosion of your character is the high price you pay for the illusion of safety today. To hold this power, one must look at those who mastered the art of the why. True power does not need to be loud. It just needs to be ready at every single moment. The most dangerous moment isn't the strike itself, but the chilling stillness that follows the impact. In the world of martial arts, this state of total awareness is known as zanshin. It refers to a state of relaxed alertness maintained after a technique has been executed. Zanshin is the lingering presence of a predator who knows the hunt is never truly over. Think of this state like a quiet pond reflecting everything after a heavy stone is thrown. Can you remain perfectly alert when the battle seems to have already reached its conclusion? Most men collapse into relief once the pressure fades, losing their hard-won edge in an instant. But the dangerous man understands that peace is merely a controlled pause between two different storms. This internal non-negotiability allows him to remain centered while others are swept away by anxiety. Do you move because you are anxious, or do you move only when it is absolutely necessary? To master this stillness is to master the integrated shadow that lurks within your own soul. Niccolò Machiavelli recognized this same quality while he studied the ruthless and calculated Cesare Borgia. During his diplomatic missions, Machiavelli watched Borgia move with the cold precision of a serpent. Borgia did not waste energy on idle threats or theatrical displays of his immense power. Instead, he possessed a sense of terribility that made men tremble before he even spoke. This power comes from the ability to assess a situation without the interference of emotional static. By choosing stillness over reaction, you project a level of control that few can match. There is a profound difference between being a harmless man and being a peaceful warrior. The harmless man cannot act, but the peaceful man chooses silence because he is dangerous. Your stillness becomes a weapon when it is backed by the knowledge of your hidden strength. It is the tactical power of observation, watching the world while remaining untouched by chaos. This readiness is what ultimately separates the man of virtue from the man of limitation. To hold this power, you must master the art of why you choose to stand still. We arrive now at the fundamental paradox of the powerful, where true virtue requires being dangerous. A lamb is not peaceful. It is merely harmless because it lacks the teeth to bite. True peace is a deliberate choice available only to those who are truly capable of devastation. Are you proud of a virtue that was forced upon you by your own lack of strength? To hold this power, you must master the art of why you choose to stand still. A peaceful man is a warrior who has sheathed his sword, not one who never had one. This is the core of the integrated shadow, where your capacity for violence is controlled, not erased. Machiavelli argued that a prince must know how to do wrong when necessity demands his darker side. If you cannot be a threat, your compliance is not a choice, but a biological surrender. Would you still be good if you suddenly possessed the absolute power to be wrong? Virtue without the ability to act otherwise is simply a cage built from your own limitations. The dangerous man cultivates a sense of terribility that warns others of the storm within his silence. Choosing peace while possessing a sharp blade is the highest form of internal non-negotiability. Without the potential for destruction, your kindness is just a mask for your inability to resist. The world does not respect the weak. It merely tolerates them until they become an inconvenience. True moral character is forged when you choose the light while holding the darkness close. Recall the Zanchin of the warrior, where every moment of stillness is backed by total readiness. You must become the lion who chooses to sleep, rather than the sheep who has no choice. This transformation requires you to look into the mirror and acknowledge the monster you could become. Only then can you truly say that your peaceful nature is a reflection of your strength. This distinction between being harmless and being peaceful is the ultimate test of your character. To lead, one must understand the necessity of doing wrong when the situation demands it. It is far better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Your shadow must be integrated, turning your fear into a tool of your own sovereign will. This internal balance allows you to walk through the world with a quiet, terrifying confidence. But this choice carries a weight that few are prepared to bear in their daily lives. How do we hold such dangerous power without losing our humanity in the process? In the darkest places humans have ever built, the only thing keeping men standing was a reason. Viktor Frankl endured the unspeakable horrors of Nazi death camps and emerged with a profound, terrifying truth. He witnessed how those who found meaning could endure suffering that would break any ordinary spirit. Frankl famously observed that he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. This why is the anchor that prevents your internal terribility from turning into a mindless, destructive wildfire. Without a purpose, your integrated shadow is merely a weapon waiting to be used by someone else. True power with a why is a forge that shapes your destiny into something truly magnificent. You must move beyond being harmless and embrace the heavy conscious responsibility of being truly peaceful. This transformation requires an internal non-negotiability that defines exactly who you are and what you stand for. To possess power is to carry a weight that most people are far too afraid to touch. It is the state of Zanchin, a constant readiness that remains grounded in deep moral intention. Ask yourself today, what is your why? And what is the purpose behind your growing strength? Can you bear the heavy weight of the man you are finally meant to become? Power is not a gift. It is a choice that demands your total and unwavering commitment. The journey from victim to dangerous man is paved with the stones of your own conscious suffering. You are no longer drifting through life but carving a path with the sharp edge of intent. Every moment of discipline is a brick in the fortress of your new and powerful character. Your why must be stronger than the fear that once kept you small and silent. The burden is heavy, but the path forward is yours alone to build and to conquer. The time for apologizing is over, for the path forward is yours alone to build and to conquer. The world will not wait for you to find your edge. It simply uses those without one. Will you remain a spectator of your own life, or will you become the architect of your power? You have lived long enough as the harmless man, mistaken in your belief that weakness is virtue. True virtue is not found in being unable to cause harm, but in being a peaceful lion. To reach this state, you must finally confront the integrated shadow that has been waiting within you. Reclaiming your internal non-negotiability means drawing a line that the world is no longer allowed to cross. This is the essence of Terabilita, a spirit so dense that even the powerful hesitate to challenge. You must maintain the state of Zanshin, a constant readiness that requires neither noise nor outward aggression. Most men wait for permission to be dangerous, but the bold simply inherit the earth while others starve. You have seen the visual language of threat and felt the ancient biological hardware of your ancestors. Now comes the moment of choice where you must decide if you are truly ready to lead. Joining the architects is like finally picking up the knife that was always meant for your hip. It is a commitment to psychological mastery that few possess and even fewer are brave enough to seek. Stop explaining your capacity to those who would rather see you small, quiet, and easily controlled. Your transformation into the dangerous man requires a community that understands the weight of this heavy burden. The architect level of content is now accessible behind the join button for those seeking deeper mastery. This is not just a membership. It is an invitation to join an elite brotherhood of psychological architects. Step out of the shadows of mediocrity and into the terrifying light of your own potential today. The threshold is before you, and the only thing standing in your way is your own hesitation. Will you accept the mandate of audacity and claim the life that has been waiting for you? Become the master of your own spirit and the architect of a future defined by internal strength. The journey to true Terabilita begins with a single click and the courage to stop being harmless.